no one wanted this starship. A human mechanic made it the galaxy's strongest weapon. The galactic hub of Xeron Station was alive with activity, shining like a jewel in the blackness of space. Ships of all shapes and sizes glided through docking bays, each polished to perfection, their hulls gleaming under the station lights. Commanders of alien fleets strolled past, inspecting vessels for strength, speed, and firepower. Plans were made, deals were struck, and the next warship of the galaxy was being chosen. Amid all this grandeur, in a quiet corner of the station's scrapyard, something entirely different sat. A battered, dented ship, its hull scratched and patched in more places than anyone could count, leaned to one side like a tired old animal. Sparks occasionally jumped from exposed wires, and a faint smoke rose from its engine vents. Most aliens ignored it completely. To them it was trash, a relic of humanity nobody had wanted. Yet, for Jalen, a human mechanic, it was not trash. Jalen had walked the scrapyard many times before, eyes trained to see potential where others saw ruin. While alien engineers sneered at imperfections, he saw opportunity. To him, a scratched hull wasn't a flaw, it was a challenge. A sputtering engine wasn't useless, it was a puzzle. And this ship, rejected by everyone, whispered promises of power hidden deep inside its rusted frame. He crouched beside the ship, wiping grease from his hands onto a rag. "You're more than they say," he muttered. "I can feel it." Other workers watched from a distance, shaking their heads. "Why bother?" One alien engineer hissed. "It's human junk. Nothing you do will make it better." Jalen only smiled. Humans were always underestimated. It was a trait they carried across stars and planets, and sometimes it worked in their favor. While the galaxy's strongest fleets focused on raw power and perfection, humans relied on creativity, improvisation, and relentless persistence. That was their secret weapon. He climbed onto the ship's hull, tools in hand. Every panel, every wire, every spark of the engine became a map of possibilities. His hands moved quickly, skillfully, connecting circuits in ways no alien manual would suggest. He reinforced the hull with lightweight alloys scavenged from broken drones, rerouted power through clever circuits, and adjusted the ship's gravity thrusters to improve balance. Hours passed, sparks flew, smoke swirled, and still, the aliens around the scrapyard whispered, laughing softly at the human's efforts. "He's wasting his time," they said. "No ship this old can ever fly, let alone fight." But Jalen didn't listen. Humans weren't the loudest or the strongest, but they had something the aliens couldn't calculate: ingenuity. By the end of the first day, the ship looked almost like it had a heartbeat. Its engines were patched but humming with potential. Its hull still bore scars, but the panels fit together in a strange, beautiful symmetry. And in the cockpit, Jalen placed a small device, a navigation AI he had built himself, one that could learn and adapt during combat. It was simple, yet powerful. The aliens continued to laugh, leaving Jalen to his work. But as night fell on Xeron Station, the scrapyard became silent. Only the hum of the repaired engines filled the air. The human mechanic stepped back and wiped his hands, staring at the ship. "You're ready," he whispered. He climbed down, heart pounding with excitement. For years, humanity had been dismissed as weak, primitive, and unworthy of real power. But here, in this quiet corner, a human was about to prove them wrong. Jalen spent the next few days running more repairs and modifications. He didn't have access to the latest alien technology, but he didn't need it. He used what he had: scraps, human intuition, and creativity. He replaced worn-out plasma conduits with flexible energy ribbons, reprogrammed defensive shields to respond faster, and even added a few clever tricks, gravity pockets and magnetic pulses, that no alien ship could anticipate. By the time he finished, the ship looked no different to the untrained eye. But inside, it was alive. Its engines purred like a beast waiting to be unleashed. Its systems were clever, adaptive, and ready for anything. One afternoon, while testing the ship's power, Jalen noticed something strange. The main energy core began to pulse with a rhythm he hadn't programmed. Lights blinked across the control panels, in patterns he had never seen before. The ship seemed aware. He stepped back, heart racing. "Interesting," he muttered. Humans didn't fully understand alien technology, but sometimes a little improvisation could awaken something new. And he could feel it. The ship was responding to him, recognizing his touch. Curiosity sparked. He climbed into the cockpit. The control panels glowed, showing readings that no alien engineer could interpret. He ran simulations, testing engines and shields, rerouting power to different systems. Each adjustment made the ship respond faster, stronger, smarter. It was as if it had a mind of its own, a mind aligned with a human's intuition. Word began to spread quietly through the station. Some aliens who worked in maintenance had seen the ship move on its own, even without a pilot. Others reported strange energy surges. Rumors grew. The human is tinkering with something dangerous. Meanwhile, Jalen kept working. He didn't care about rumors or attention. He cared about potential. He cared about proving that humans, underestimated as they were, could create something extraordinary from nothing. By the end of the week, the ship was ready for a test flight. Jalen climbed in, heart pounding with excitement and nervousness. He had no idea if it would actually fly. But humans had a way of turning risk into opportunity. That was what made them dangerous. He started the engines. Sparks flew, lights flashed, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the ship lifted off the ground, hovering in the scrapyard like a living creature. Jalen felt a thrill he had never felt before. The ship responded perfectly, moving with precision and agility that no alien vessel could match. Outside the scrapyard, aliens paused to watch. They murmured to one another, confused. How could a human ship fly so smoothly? Jalen smiled behind his visor. "Not just fly," he said. "Survive. Adapt. Win." He pushed the ship forward, dodging piles of scrap and weaving through maintenance cranes. The vessel moved like water, smooth, flexible, and unpredictable. Aliens gasped. Their manuals, their calculations, their fleets. They had never imagined something like this. As night fell over Xeron Station, the scrapyard glowed with the light of the ship's engines. Jalen hovered above the ground, feeling a connection to the vessel unlike anything he had experienced before. It was more than metal and circuits. It was a symbol of what humans could do when others doubted them. And for the first time, the galaxy had no idea what was coming. Because this ship, the one no one wanted, was about to change everything. The moment the ship lifted off, Jalen felt a rush unlike anything he had ever experienced. The engines hummed beneath him, responding to his smallest movements. Every wire, every panel, every system he had patched together seemed alive, as if the ship itself understood the potential hidden inside its battered frame. Out in the open sky of Xeron Station, the bustling traffic of perfect alien ships went about its business, completely unaware of the small human vessel weaving silently between them. No one paid attention at first. After all, why would anyone care about a human ship? Most aliens still believed humans were weak, primitive, and incapable of creating anything impressive. Jalen smiled to himself. That underestimation was exactly what he needed. He guided the ship out of the station's orbit, toward the asteroid belt that lay nearby. It was the perfect testing ground, chaotic, unpredictable, and full of obstacles. Perfect for seeing what his creation could do. As he entered the belt, he felt the first real test. Rocks of every size floated through space like floating mountains, spinning slowly in zero gravity. Alien ships were clumsy here, using complex navigation computers that still struggled to calculate every moving obstacle. Jalen's human intuition, however, let him see possibilities where machines hesitated. He pushed the ship forward. With a tilt of the controls and a flick of a switch, The vessel ducked under a massive asteroid, its hull scraping against floating debris, but holding strong. A small shockwave rattled the cockpit, and Jalen winced, but smiled. The ship had absorbed the impact perfectly, thanks to the reinforced plating he had designed. Minutes passed like hours. Jalen ran maneuver after maneuver, weaving through the asteroid belt, testing engines, shields, and adaptive weapon systems. He activated magnetic pulses that shifted the weight of floating rocks, using gravity fields in ways alien engineers would never dream of. Outside the belt, alien scouts finally noticed him. They were small reconnaissance vessels, sent to investigate strange energy readings. As the scouts approached, they saw the human ship darting between asteroids, moving faster, sharper, and more unpredictable than anything they had ever seen. "Impossible," one alien pilot whispered to another. "That ship, it shouldn't even fly." But fly it did. And it didn't just fly. It dodged, weaved, and countered in ways no program could calculate. Every time the scouts fired, Jalen's ship responded instantly, adapting its shields to deflect energy blasts, even rerouting power to engines for a quick dash in an unexpected direction. The scouts struggled to keep up. Their advanced systems calculated movement patterns, predicted trajectories, and still could not anticipate the humans' improvisation. One by one, they fell behind, amazed and frustrated. Jalen laughed softly. Humans had a saying: improvise, adapt, overcome. The aliens had no idea how dangerous that mentality could be. He continued testing. He ran engine boosts, tested hyperspeed jumps, and pushed the weapon systems to fire in rapid succession. The ship responded perfectly. Every system learned as it went, adjusting in real time. It was no longer just a machine. It was an extension of Jalen himself. By the time he returned to Xiron Station, word had spread. Maintenance workers whispered to one another. Technicians reported unusual power surges, and the station's security monitors picked up a vessel moving in impossible patterns. Even some alien fleet commanders began to take notice. "They say it's a human ship," one commander said, voice tinged with disbelief. "It shouldn't exist." And yet, the reports are real. Jalen didn't know or care about the rumors. He had a plan, and it involved showing the galaxy just how underestimated humans truly were. The next test came in the form of a simulation, a mock combat scenario with automated drones from the station's training fleet. Alien instructors laughed when they heard a human wanted to participate. "This will be amusing," they said. "He will fail spectacularly." Jalen entered the cockpit, the ship glowing faintly in anticipation. The drones swarmed, hundreds of them, programmed to attack with precision. Every alien who watched expected disaster. The attack began. Drones fired in coordinated waves, moving in patterns designed to trap and destroy any single ship. Most human vessels would have been obliterated in seconds, but not this one. Jalen guided the ship with careful, instinctive movements. The adaptive shields learned from every impact, adjusting angles to reflect energy blasts. Weapons rerouted automatically, firing at the drones with perfect timing. Gravity pockets shifted drones off course, while magnetic pulses pulled others into collisions with one another. Minutes passed, and one by one, the drones fell. Not a single human life was at stake, only the machine's intelligence and Jalen's skill. By the end of the exercise, the station's observation decks were silent. Even seasoned commanders had never seen a single pilot achieve such flawless results. They destroyed the entire fleet, one instructor muttered. "With one ship and a human at the controls?" Jalen smirked. "They still think humans are weak," he whispered to himself. "They have no idea." But news of his success didn't remain contained for long. The incident report reached higher-ranking officers in multiple alien empires. Fleets began to take notice of the small, battered vessel. Discussions began, debates erupted. What was this human doing? How had a single mechanic built a ship that could outperform trained fleets and advanced drones? For the first time, Jalen realized the stakes were higher than he imagined. It wasn't just a test anymore. It was a signal. Other factions in the galaxy were curious, suspicious, and possibly threatened. He returned to the scrapyard to make adjustments. Even though the ship had performed brilliantly, he wasn't satisfied. There were still improvements to make, reinforcements to add. Systems to optimize. Humans thrived on constant innovation, and he would not stop. As he worked, he noticed a small team of alien engineers watching from a distance. They dared not approach. Their curiosity conflicted with fear. They had never seen a human capable of such brilliance. One of them, a veteran of a dozen galactic battles, whispered, "If humans keep doing this, they could change everything." Jalen ignored them. Humans rarely sought validation. They sought results. The night came, and the stars glimmered against the blackness of space. Jalen finished the last of his modifications and climbed into the cockpit once more. He didn't need tests today. He simply wanted to see how far the ship could push itself, how fast, how sharp, how smart it could become. The engines roared to life, brighter and stronger than ever. Jalen activated a new system he had devised, adaptive hyperdrive vectors, a way for the ship to jump through space unpredictably. No alien AI could calculate where it would appear next, making it nearly impossible to target. He activated the system. The ship surged forward, disappearing from sight. When it reappeared, it had crossed 3 asteroid fields in seconds, spinning and twisting with elegance. Aliens monitoring from distant stations were stunned. One even fainted from shock. It's impossible," a commander gasped. "No ship should be able to do that." Jalen grinned. This was exactly what he had hoped for. Humans thrived when others doubted them, while aliens relied on rules, calculations, and limitations. Humans relied on creativity, adaptability, and instinct. The galaxy would soon learn that these traits were more powerful than any weapon. Suddenly, a warning blinked on the console. A fleet of alien scouts had detected the ship's energy signature. They were approaching. Jalen had expected attention, but he had not expected such a fast response. The scouts closed in, confident that the human ship could be captured or destroyed. But Jalen's ship, alive in its own way, seemed to sense the danger. Shields strengthened, engines thrummed faster, and the weapon systems hummed with potential energy. When the scouts opened fire, their attacks barely scratched the surface. The adaptive shields absorbed energy, rerouted it to the engines, and propelled the ship in unexpected directions. The scouts tried again, coordinating their attacks, but each move was anticipated and countered. Minutes later, the fleet was forced to retreat. Reports flooded the stations. The human ship had survived impossible odds, dodged attacks with unthinkable precision, and disappeared without a trace. Jalen hovered above the asteroid belt, heart pounding. He had proven what he needed to prove. Humans, underestimated and dismissed, could create brilliance from scraps and ingenuity from chaos. And yet, as he looked out into the endless expanse of space, he felt a thrill and a warning. The galaxy had noticed him now. Aliens would come, fleets would pursue, and the human mechanic would face challenges greater than any asteroid belt or drone fleet. But Jalen smiled. Humans thrived under pressure. Humans adapted, overcame, and survived where others failed. And with this ship, he would show the galaxy exactly what that meant. Cliffhanger ending. As he returned to the scrapyard, a deep, ominous shadow fell over Zyron Station. A massive fleet of alien warships appeared on the sensors, hundreds of vessels converging toward him. They had heard the rumors, they had seen the impossible, and now they wanted to destroy the human before his ship could reveal its full power. Jalen gripped the controls. "All right," he muttered, a grin spreading across his face. "Let's see what happens when humans fight back." The massive alien fleet hung in the void like a black storm. Hundreds of ships, bigger and more advanced than anything Jalen had ever seen, spread across the sensors. Each vessel gleamed under distant starlight, armed with weapons that could level planets. The commanders on the bridge of their flagships exchanged glances, confident that a single human ship posed no threat. Jalen leaned back in the cockpit of his battered starship. He had faced danger before, but never on this scale. Still, he didn't feel fear. Humans thrived in impossible situations. They adapted. They improvised, and they survived. The engines thrummed beneath him, alive with energy. He had spent weeks perfecting every system, pushing his ship to limits no alien design could anticipate. Adaptive shields, improvised weapon systems, unpredictable flight patterns. All of it was ready. The aliens believed in raw strength. Humans believed in cleverness, and cleverness had never failed yet. "All right," Jalen muttered to himself, fingers hovering over the controls. "Let's show them what humans can do." The first wave of alien fighters leapt forward. Small, fast ships designed for hunting and harassment. They swarmed like locusts, lasers and energy beams blazing. Most alien pilots expected a routine victory, a human ship destroyed in minutes. But Jalen's starship moved like water. It twisted, spun, and dove with impossible precision. Each time a laser beam approached, the ship anticipated it. Shields shifted dynamically, bending energy around corners, and weapons fired back without delay. Every hit, every maneuver was calculated instinctively, an improvisation no alien AI could match. The alien pilots grew frustrated. Their formations, perfectly designed by centuries of military experience, were useless against one human. They tried to outsmart him, coordinating attacks from multiple angles. Still, every attempt failed. Every time, Jalen found a new way to survive. He exploited asteroid debris, used magnetic pulses to redirect missiles, and even tricked some drones into colliding with each other. This is impossible," one alien commander shouted into the comm. "How can one human ship counter hundreds of attacks?" Meanwhile, Jalen's ship hummed as it absorbed and redistributed energy. Systems he had built from scraps reacted faster than any alien design. The vessel was alive, connected to his intuition, learning with every move. And then came the first strike from the capital ships, the massive warships bristling with energy cannons. Their beams could obliterate entire fleets in seconds. Jalen felt a twinge of pressure. One hit could destroy his ship. But he didn't panic. Humans didn't panic. They thought, they adapted, they acted. He activated a new system he had designed, the Echo Shield. It converted incoming energy into propulsion and counter-energy. Beams hit the hull, but instead of harming the ship, they pushed it forward, while simultaneous counterfire struck the enemy with precision. A beam from one capital ship exploded against the shield, then immediately redirected, slicing a path through smaller enemy vessels. The fleet hesitated, shocked. None of their calculations had predicted such a move. Jalen grinned. "You've never met humans like me," he said, voice steady. "And you're about to learn why." He wove the ship through the battlefield, dodging massive blasts while returning fire. Alien fleets were powerful but rigid. They relied on overwhelming force, assuming predictable reactions. Humans didn't conform. Humans improvised. Humans could think differently when everything seemed lost. Minutes turned into an hour as the fight escalated. The alien commanders realized that brute force was useless. They called in more ships, even their experimental vessels, hoping numbers could overpower ingenuity. But Jalen's ship had no fear, no hesitation, and most importantly, no limits. He activated a trick he had spent weeks perfecting, adaptive gravity vectors. The ship created localized gravity distortions, pulling enemy vessels off course and slamming them into one another. Massive warships collided in chaos, unable to correct their trajectory. Smaller fighters were trapped in rotating gravity wells, spinning helplessly as lasers missed their targets entirely. From distant observation points, alien officers panicked. "Pull back! Pull back! This human is destroying our fleet!" But retreat wasn't part of Jalen's plan. Humans didn't fight to run. They fought to survive and win. He guided his ship closer to the enemy flagship. A massive craft, far larger than his own, bristling with turrets and shields, and piloted by the most skilled alien commanders in the galaxy. The flagship opened fire, blasting waves of energy meant to incinerate him. But Jalen had anticipated this. He diverted the energy through the echo shield, firing some beams back, deflecting others with calculated maneuvers, and sent one massive pulse through the flagship's weak points. Sparks erupted on its hull, systems failed, and chaos spread throughout the command bridge. Alien crews scrambled, shouting at each other. They had never seen one human do so much with so little. Even their best weapons and training were useless against unpredictability, speed, and ingenuity combined. Jalen felt a surge of pride, not for destruction, but for the proof of something far greater. Humans could overcome impossible odds. They could create brilliance from scraps, strategy from improvisation, and victory from cunning and courage. But the battle wasn't over. The flagship sent reinforcements, capital ships, fighters, and drones moving in coordinated waves designed to trap him. For the first time, Jalen felt a flicker of concern. Numbers could overwhelm anyone, even a clever human. But concern didn't last long. Concern was useless unless it was followed by action. He activated the ship's final system, one he had been saving for this moment. The adaptive AI he had built from salvaged components could now predict enemy movements in real time, suggesting maneuvers and firing solutions faster than any human mind alone could calculate. It wasn't perfect, but it worked seamlessly with his instincts. The ship became almost unstoppable. Every attack was countered. Every trap was avoided. Every strike was returned with devastating precision. The alien fleet struggled to keep up, chaos spreading across their ranks. Their formations collapsed, and for the first time, doubt entered the minds of even the most seasoned commanders. "This human," muttered one general, staring at the hollow screens. "He's too clever, too fast, too unpredictable." Jalen laughed softly. "Humans aren't predictable," he said to himself. "We're adaptable. We survive, we thrive." As the battle reached its peak, Jalen saw an opportunity. The flagship, distracted by smaller attacks, exposed a weak point near its energy core. Calculated, improvised, and daring, he directed all remaining power to a single strike, a combination of laser, magnetic pulse, and gravity manipulation. The attack hit perfectly. The flagship shuddered, sparks flying from its hull. Systems failed across the ship. Fighters scrambled, trying to maintain control, and in that instant, the entire alien fleet hesitated. It was clear, one human ship, built from scrap and ingenuity alone, had turned the tide. Fear replaced arrogance. Doubt replaced certainty. The alien commanders realized that raw power, numbers, and advanced technology were not enough. Humans brought something different: creativity, courage, and an unbreakable spirit. Jalen's ship hovered, engines glowing, adaptive systems humming. He had survived impossible odds. He had turned chaos into victory, and for the first time, he allowed himself a smile that stretched across his face. But he also knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had noticed him. More fleets, more commanders, more experiments would come, and each challenge would be bigger, faster, and deadlier. Humans thrived under pressure, yes, but the universe had not yet seen the full extent of human determination. He looked out into the stars, thinking of what lay ahead. One thing was certain: humans were underestimated, dismissed, and overlooked across the galaxy. But underestimated humans had one thing aliens could never replicate: imagination and the will to survive at any cost. And with this ship, Jalen knew humanity would no longer be ignored. Cliffhanger ending. As the alien fleet withdrew, beaten but alive, a transmission arrived. A council of the galaxy's most powerful empires had convened. They called for every fleet, every general, every weapon to converge on the human mechanic and his ship. They had decided humanity must be stopped before it could reshape the galaxy forever. Jalen gripped the controls, feeling the hum of his ship beneath him. "Bring it on," he muttered. "Humans don't back down. We fight, we adapt, and we win." The galaxy held its breath. Every fleet, every general, every alien empire that had once dismissed humans now converged on Zyron Station, drawn by reports of a single human ship that had shattered impossible odds. Hundreds of warships formed a massive blockade around the outer rim of the system, their weapons ready to annihilate any sign of resistance. But Jalen did not feel fear. Humans had a way of facing impossible odds and thriving. They adapted, they improvised, and they survived. And his ship, the one no one wanted, the one built from scraps, was ready. He climbed into the cockpit, the hum of the engines vibrating beneath him like a living heartbeat. Every system, every wire, every panel had been perfected over months of tireless work. The ship was alive in a way no alien machine could ever be. It thought, learned, and reacted, not as a mindless vessel, but as an extension of Jalen's ingenuity. "Time to show them what humans can do," he muttered, gripping the controls. The alien fleets advanced. Their capital ships bristled with energy weapons. Their fighters swarmed like a storm. Even the most experienced commanders, confident in their fleets, felt unease. One by one, they realized that brute force alone would not defeat the human ship. Jalen pushed the ship forward, weaving through asteroid belts and abandoned satellites. Alien drones fired relentlessly, but each attack was countered with precision. The adaptive shields absorbed energy blasts and redirected them to propulsion or counterfire. Magnetic pulses pulled enemy fighters into collisions. Gravity vectors twisted capital ships into confusion. One by one, the aliens fell into chaos. From observation decks, alien commanders shouted at each other, their fear growing. "It's just one human. How can it do this?" But Jalen knew the truth. It wasn't just the ship. It was the human spirit. Humans could think differently, act unpredictably, and survive when all hope seemed lost. Alien fleets relied on calculations and rigid formations. Humans relied on creativity, courage, and determination. The first major strike came from a massive warship, bristling with energy cannons capable of destroying planets. Its weapons locked on, targeting the human vessel. Jalen's heart raced, but he did not panic. He activated the echo shield, converting the energy blast into a powerful forward thrust. The ship surged, dodging in a way no alien algorithm could predict. The massive beam harmlessly tore a crater through a nearby asteroid instead. Jalen smiled. "Not today," he fired back, using the adaptive weapons he had cobbled together from alien tech and human intuition. Energy bolts struck weak points on the warship's hull, disabling turrets and sensors. Fighters scrambled to defend their flagship, but Jalen's gravity manipulation sent them spinning into each other. The massive vessel faltered, unable to maintain formation. In the alien command centers, panic spread. "This is impossible," a commander yelled. "One human, one ship, destroying everything." Jalen knew the fight was far from over. He had faced fleets, drones, and warships, but the galaxy's strongest empires were not yet fully committed. They still believed numbers and technology would overwhelm him. But humans were always underestimated, and that underestimation was their greatest weapon. He activated the ship's adaptive hyperdrive vectors, a system capable of instantaneous, unpredictable jumps through space. One moment the vessel was here, the next it appeared behind enemy lines, firing at capital ships from angles no one could anticipate. Alien pilots tried to track him, but their sensors failed. Every calculation was useless. The human ship was everywhere at once. With each strike, Jalen felt a growing confidence. The ship was not just surviving, It was dominating. The aliens realized that no fleet could match the ingenuity and adaptability of one determined human mechanic. For the first time, they questioned everything they thought they knew about power. Then came the turning point. The flagship of the largest alien empire, a colossal warship designed to crush entire fleets, entered the battle. Its massive energy cannons aimed directly at Jalen's vessel. Any hit would be fatal. The alien commander, confident in their superiority, smirked. But Jalen had already seen this coming. Humans did not rely on brute force alone. They relied on thinking differently, on seeing possibilities others could not. He guided his ship into a shadowed asteroid field, hiding from sensors. Then, using adaptive gravity fields, he twisted the asteroids into the perfect trap. The massive warship fired blindly, energy beams tearing through rocks instead of the human vessel. Jalen emerged from the shadows, engines glowing, weapons firing in a perfect combination of precision and improvisation. He struck the flagship at its energy core, using a mix of magnetic pulses, laser strikes, and gravity manipulation. Sparks flew across its hull, systems failed, and alarms blared across the command deck. Chaos erupted as alien pilots struggled to maintain control. The other fleets, seeing their leader falter, began to retreat in confusion. The human ship moved like lightning, striking and dodging, teaching the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Humans could overcome the impossible. In the midst of battle, Jalen realized something. This was not just a fight for survival. It was a statement. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for centuries. They had mocked human ingenuity, dismissed human courage, and ignored human potential. But here, in the void of space, one human had proven them wrong. He pushed the ship to its limits, weaving through debris, enemy fire, and gravitational anomalies. Each maneuver was daring, risky, and brilliant. The ship responded perfectly, its systems alive and intuitive. It was no longer just a vessel. It was a symbol of human potential, ingenuity, and courage. Minutes later, the flagship finally collapsed, engines failing and weapons offline. The alien fleets, beaten and demoralized, withdrew into the void, unwilling to face further losses. Xiron Station's skies were quiet once more, except for the hum of Jalen's ship. He hovered above the system, taking in the view. The galaxy had witnessed something extraordinary. One human, with nothing but scraps, tools, and determination, had challenged the might of entire empires, and had survived. A transmission arrived, this time not from enemies, but from curious allies. Several alien factions, impressed by what they had seen, reached out. They wanted alliances, trade, and knowledge. They wanted to study the human mechanic and the ship that had defied all expectations. Jalen smiled. Humans didn't seek glory. They sought respect earned through action. And now, the galaxy had no choice but to acknowledge the strength of humanity. He returned to the scrapyard where it had all begun. The battered, dented ship now gleamed in starlight, a testament to what humans could achieve when underestimated. Workers, alien and human alike, stopped to stare. Even those who had mocked him now looked in awe. Jalen climbed out of the cockpit, tools still in hand. The ship had survived impossible odds, defeated fleets, and proven that creativity, courage, and adaptability were more powerful than raw numbers and technology alone. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Never underestimate a human. And as the stars shone over Xiron Station, one thought echoed in Jalen's mind. This was only the beginning. Humans would continue to push boundaries, defy expectations, and remind the galaxy that they were a force unlike any other. The ship, once unwanted and discarded, now stood as a beacon, a reminder that ingenuity, courage, and determination could make the impossible possible. The galaxy would never forget the day one human mechanic transformed a forgotten scrap into the strongest weapon it had ever seen. And somewhere deep in space, Jalen grinned. Already thinking of the next challenge, knowing humans would always rise when the odds were impossible, and always triumph when others counted them out. Ending note. The human ship, built from scraps, ingenuity, and pure determination, had not just survived, it had reshaped the galaxy's perception of humanity. The HFY truth was clear. Humans were underestimated at their own peril, and no empire, no weapon, no calculation could ever contain the spirit of one clever human willing to fight for what they believed in.